is Friday, October 27th, and this is Friday 5 at 5 with the Denver Public Library. My name is Dodie. I'm a librarian at DPL's Central Library, and in 15 minutes or less, we'll have you up to speed on 5 new titles out this month that we can't wait for you to read or listen to. Please note that new titles may not be added to Overdrive until after publication date, so if you don't see the titles in ebook or e-audio format, please check back. Join us on November 18th, 3:30 to 4:30 at the Sam Gary Branch for an afternoon with Greg Glasgow and Catherine Meyer, authors of Disneyland on the Mountain, Walt, the Environmentalist, and the Ski Resort That Never Was. This is an in-depth look at Walt Disney's last unfinished project, Mineral King, a Disneyland-like ski resort, and the controversy that surrounded it, including the budding environmental movement that made sure the resort never saw the light of day. Books will be available for sale and signing after the program from the bookies. Please join us on November 18th. More info at the link below. We now introduce The Shelf. Thanks to funding from Strong Library, Strong Denver, supported by the Denver Public Library Fund, we're excited to launch The Shelf TV, a Spanish streaming platform offering TV programs, movies, recorded performing arts events, and children's content. The Shelf is the leading platform for streaming audiovisual services in Spanish for libraries in Latin America and the United States. For more information on The Shelf and how to use it, click on the link below. On to the books. Set in 1920s Edinburgh, Hazardous Spirits by Anbara Salam tells the story of Evelyn Hazard, a young Scottish woman living an unremarkable middle-class life. One day, Evelyn's quiet existence is shattered when her staid, reliable husband Robert suddenly announces that he can communicate with the dead. Evelyn Hazard quietly gave up her baby for adoption a decade earlier, a secret she shared only with her sister, Dolly, before Dolly died. Now, she worries her husband, Robert, will contact Dolly's spirit and learn the truth. She then begins accompanying him to a spiritual hall where she's dismayed to discover Robert's spiritual tutor is a child named Clarence who speaks with crowds about deceased relatives. Robert picks up the skill, too, forging a traveling I See Dead People act with Clarence, and Evelyn comes along for the tour. Due to their travels, Evelyn's social circle widens, though she continues to wrestle with her feelings about Robert's calling to clairvoyancy. Equal parts lush Gothic mystery and delicately wrought 1920s domestic drama, Hazardous Spirits is a riveting exploration of the unknowable, whether it's ghosts, spirits, or the people we love most. Readers will encounter similar spiritualist hijinks with a crime-solving twist in Sarah Penner's novel, The London Seance Society. Diana Helmuth brings both skepticism and curiosity to her 12-month exploration of witchcraft in The Witching Year, a memoir of earnest fumbling through modern witchcraft, a rigorous, deeply entertaining book. In her debut book, The Meth Lunches, Food and Longing in an American City, Kim Foster, a James Beard Award-winning writer, details her family's experiences after moving to Las Vegas to facilitate her husband's work as a show producer. As she became attuned to the city's bleak undertow of addiction and poverty, she tried to counter it with a passion for cooking and sharing, beginning with their meth-addicted handyman, Charlie, whom she invited for lunch daily until his decline prevented such gestures. In just 3 months, she writes, we have seen Charlie and his wife, Tessie, through a lifetime of crises: temporary sobriety, meth binges, 2 stints in jail, 3 moves, 1 eviction, and several religious end-of-the-world texts. These caring instincts drove her to first foster, then adopt 2 severely traumatized children. They also started an at-home food pantry for the needy during the pandemic. Foster unflinchingly lays bare the reality of poverty and hunger in America, combining statistics with the true life stories of people in her sphere. Prejudice, predatory housing practices, and poor access to care for people with severe mental illness all rise into sharp, frustrating relief. Foster may occasionally be guilty of saviorism, but she also freely admits it and acknowledges her past biases as well as her personal growth. She openly discusses her own mental health and the limits of her focus. Her meditations on community and caring for others encourage readers to consider the building of a world where everyone has a place at a full, loving table. One of the folks Foster met at the food pantry was growing her own produce in her van. Though not as extreme, Ashley Thomas's How to Become a Gardener, Find Empowerment in Creating Your Own Food Security will show you the importance of finding personal freedom by growing your own garden-to-table food. What does food poverty look like? The Poverty Line by Chow and Lin offers eye-opening photographs showing what people in 36 countries and territories can afford to buy at local markets from the sum of money that defines the official poverty line, as assessed per person per day. Spooky season is upon us. It's the perfect time to grab some warm cider and your favorite blanket and cuddle up with a scary story or two. Never Whistle at Night, an Indigenous dark fiction anthology edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore Van Alst Jr., is exactly that. Many Indigenous people believe that one should never whistle at night. This belief takes many forms. For instance, Native Hawaiians say it summons the Hukapo, the spirits of ancient warriors, and Native Mexicans say it calls Luchiza, a witch that can transform into an owl. But what all these legends hold in common is the certainty that whistling at night can cause evil spirits to appear and even follow you home. This collection of short stories by Indigenous authors featuring Indigenous main characters features at least some aspect of Native American mythology and superstition. The book opens with Matilda Zeller's Kushtuka, which begins with an immediately compelling and seriously creepy problem. A white man wants a village girl, Tapisa, to carry his child. To complicate things, it's Tapisa's mom who is trying to convince her to do it. This sets the stage, smoothly establishing fascinating and multifaceted conflict, while infusing everything with layered subtext around power and wealth, colonial practices, complicity, gender roles, and more, all in the span of a single page. Every story that follows, whether from Rebecca Roanhorse, David Heska Wambley-Whedon, Darcy Little Badger, or another of the Indigenous authors contributing, is immersive, chilling, and haunting in the best way possible. Anoka, a collection of Indigenous horror, is Shane Hawk's debut collection of Indigenous short stories, which all take place in Anoka, a small Midwest city known as the Halloween capital of the world. Often funny, often chilling, And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott studies an Indigenous woman's unraveling in a world that she's ashamed to feel so disconnected from. And Elliott tells her story with assuredness and weight. Next up is Humanize, a maker's guide to designing our cities by Thomas Heatherwick, one of the most innovative designers of the world. This is a fiercely passionate manifesto on why so many places have become miserable and boring and how we can make them better for everyone, featuring hundreds of photographs and illustrations that will change the way you see the world around you. Every day when I drive into Denver, I see a dozen cranes and wonder, where are all these people going to park, eat, buy food, and live? Buildings affect how we feel, monument by monument, day by day. They have the power to lift us up and make us feel awestruck, playful, safe, and inspired, just as they can make us feel alienated and sad. But many of the places where we live, work, learn, and heal have become monotonous and disposable. Now, drawing on his experience of the last 30 years in making bold, beautiful objects and buildings, Heatherwick offers both an informed critique of the humanity in most of today's contemporary building design and a rousing call for action. Looking through his eyes, we see familiar landmarks and cityscapes around the world, from London, Paris, Barcelona, Singapore, New York, Vancouver, and beyond, both old and new, famous and obscure, to learn how places can either sap the life out of us or nourish our senses and our psyche. The time has come to put emotion back at the heart of the design process, and the reasons to do so could not be more urgent. Design is not superficial. It has an impact on economics, climate change, our mental and physical well-being, even the peace and cohesion of our societies. In her new book, Architectures of Spatial Justice, Dana Cuff reveals why architecture as a discipline requires this critical examination. Blending theory, history, and applied practices, Cuff establishes a code of ethics that breaks with professional conventions to correct long-standing inequities in the built environment, uncovering both architecture's limits and its potentials. Beyond Greenways, the next step for city trails and walking routes by Colorado author Michael Stearns makes a case for walking infrastructure that serves a more diverse array of people. Need a book that lets you take a mental vacation? Give Meet the Benedettos by Katie Katugno a read or listen. Check it out. An A-list movie star moves to Los Angeles next door to a family of 5 eligible sisters. Sound familiar? In this irresistible novel where the Kardashians meet Pride and Prejudice. First of all, I can't imagine having 4 sisters. I have none. And these ladies go from cuddling like a pile of puppies to throwing kitchenware across the room. Stuck together with their parents in a fading mansionette, the Benedetto sisters are dabbling in being influencers and innovators in reality show celebs, but not quite really getting the dollar return they need. Their father, most well known as the Meatball King of Los Angeles, has thrown in the sauce-stained towel, while their mother is always mid-renovation and has no respect for bank account levels. The new guy in the neighborhood, yes, Will Darcy, is interested in Lily, the youngest sister, but she is not interested in him. But you know how that goes. What sets the story apart is the unwavering bond between the 5 sisters. Through mayhem, scandals, and love affairs, they demonstrate the power of unconditional love and unity. Their resilience in the face of adversity serves as a compelling testament to the strength of family ties and their ability to overcome obstacles. Get a hold on it now. Meet the Benedettos comes out in December. The One by Julia Argy is a razor-sharp and seductively hypnotic debut novel about the very fantasy of falling in love in a reality show world. It's all camera-ready laughs and debates over herringbone tile in We Love to Entertain by Sarah Sturmeyer until host Holly and Robert go missing after their picture-perfect wedding, leaving behind a bloody trail. And just in case you missed it, Vanishing Maps is Christina Garcia's follow-up set at the turn of the 21st century. And though a lot has changed for the Del Pino family, whose 4 living generations are now scattered around the world, Celia has maintained loyalty to the unnamed Cuban leader for 40 years. Born like Gustavo, a Spanish tourist with whom she spent 4 rapturous nights in 1934, El Líder has never abandoned her. A significant part of the novel is told through the eyes of 6 cousins: Pilar, Luz, Milagro, Ivanito, Irina, and Teresa. Pilar, having escaped Cuba and her mother's narcissistic grip, now lives in Los Angeles, where the sky was striated with fuchsias and maroons and shot through with neon tangerines. After 66 years of one-sided correspondence, Celia meets Gustavo in Spain for a reunion that is unsurprisingly dotted with low-grade disappointment with the unsparing wash of time. Vanishing Maps is, at heart, a book about family, yet it's also about geography, culture, and language. There is something for everyone in its pages. In America Is Not the Heart, Elaine Castillo tells the story of 3 generations of women from one immigrant family trying to reconcile the home they left behind with the life they're building in America. Inspired by real-life events, An American Immigrant is a story of culture and community, of abiding commitment to family, and embracing our culture and generations that have come before. That's all for this month. Thank you for tuning in to Denver Public Library's 5 at 5. We hope you enjoy these great reads and listens. Check out or place a hold on these titles and a whole lot more right now at denverlibrary.org, link below. Tune in next month for new recommended reads. Bye-bye.